Well, I am very proud to be wearing my Stellar Lumens shirt. You know, the second video I ever made on this channel back in July, I talked about, it's called Why I Love Jed McCaleb and Stellar Lumens. Still a good listen. So I love the Stellar Lumens story. And also, if you want to talk about a long shot, you know, it's only it's like 1.5 cents right now. So, you know, if it turns out to be a winner, we're early. So, and we are still early. I made that video. It bounced around 2 cents for a while, went all the way down to 1 cent, even below 1 cent for a minute. And then this week, up over 4 cents, up 100% in one day on the IBM announcement. So what was the IBM announcement? Here, this is from IBM. Let's see if you can see this here. Initially, Stellar will provide the network and digital assets to facilitate the settlement of transactions cleared on Hyperledger. Stellar was a bit more bold in saying that Stellar's technology serves as the core backbone of this cross-border payment solution. Basically, IBM is trying to create a system where people from different countries can create contracts that include information about payment. The contracts go on the blockchain, and payment is settled, immediately using the Stellar network. I like the way IBM here. I think it's sort of funny. They say initially Stellar will provide the network, like as if someday they're going to make another their own. Reminds me of the announcement. Initially, Microsoft will provide the operating system for PCs, right? And later they tried their own. Didn't work out. But in this case, you know, IBM has a lot to do with the contracts and blockchain, never mind a payment processing system, the Stellar network. It's free, it works, it's awesome. Why would they do it on their own? And we can profit by owning the native currency of the Stellar network, which are Lumens XLM. Now, these are my notes here. So this has given me tons more information about Ripple. So the story, for those who don't know, is, you know, Jed McCaleb, one of the reasons I liked him, winner. You know, he was into distributed networks, created one of the biggest file sharing systems called eDonkey. He then saw Bitcoin early, created one of, if not the first Bitcoin exchange, became Mt. Gox, the largest in the industry. He sold it and it collapsed to who he sold it to. He then started Ripple, and he didn't agree with the direction they were going, and I didn't know what he meant by that. And now I think I understand. I'll talk about that in a second. But he didn't like the direction they were going, so he forked Ripple to create Stellar. So then I'm looking at Ripple, also successful. I'm like, this guy's a winner. That was one of my reasons. I thought, this Stellar, what's the odds of him? He's already 3 for 3 on things he's created. Now he's got his 4th. Something tells me it might work. So now Ripple, who, you know, Ripple and Stellar are clearly competitors, right? I mean, it's the same thing that was just forked. And at the Ripple convention, the first day, Stellar comes out with this announcement. Stellar's up 100%. Ripple is down, and there's no mention of it. Now watch this video here. This is funny. He's asking this guy here. Can you see? Yeah, this guy here is from Ripple. And the moderator is asking him who his competition is. Now, Vitalik goes a little off topic. He holds up money when you see him laughing. He's holding up fiat currency. That's the competition. But I find it almost eerie that no one is mentioning Stellar because, you know, this is the day. While they're talking, Stellar is up 100%. Ripple's down. Check this out.
If you're playing so well with everybody on stage here today, who is the competition?
This is a really good question. So I think that you have to kind of distinct.
Now watch Vitalik fiddling around here. It's funny, and then you got to listen to his laugh. You probably already heard it in other things, but
which between some of the different things that we're all interested in, right? So
who is the competition?
I'll get to that. I'm trying to give people understanding how that sound bites. So there's sort of the competition between.
I think he held up a credit card and a fiat currency, and notice he's wearing his unicorn sweatshirt. Hilarious.
There's sort of the competition.
Okay.
There's sort of the competition between currencies, as Vitaly just pointed out, and there's the competition between sort of interoperability protocols. And when I talk,
he mentions competition with other protocols, but I think the fact that they're not mentioning Stellar either tells me they don't know what's going on, which is probably not the case. They're scared. They should be. I mean, so this, now I understand the direction, how the direction changed. So here's the deal. Stellar became a company who's sort of trying to earn a profit by charging banks or licensing their software to get them on the platform. While Stellar went off and became a nonprofit foundation, nonprofit organization, which is just trying to provide these payment protocols for free so that companies can have free transfers of payments. And now they're working with IBM, so who is better to set up or convert payment processing systems within banks, IBM or Ripple? Not to mention, most of these banks are probably already using IBM computers. In fact, that would be a great statistic if anyone has information on this. What percentage of banks are like already using IBM? And and how much easier is it to convert an IBM or whatever payment processing system, if they're on IBM, how easy is it to convert and build this new system that they're creating? I'll talk about that in a little bit more in a minute, but so and I wonder how many of Ripple's customers that they're working with are on IBM computers, right? I mean, I think there's room for both. I always did, but whereas I thought Stellar was starting with, the developing world, in which they sort of are, and even this IBM announcement, they're sort of starting off in the developing world. But by being with IBM, you're not counting out Stellar Network from working with the biggest banks. So this is pretty cool. So now what else do we have here? So then the next thing is, what about the valuation? What should Stellar be worth? Looking at it now. Now look at this here. Look at how much it's come down. I love this. I mean, God, I should stop this video and buy some right now. Market cap now. Look at this, 430 million. What's Ripple's market cap? Oh my God. If you don't know, get ready to cry. Sorry, it's slow here. Ripple's market cap, 8 billion. Yes, you heard me correctly. Ripple is valued at more than 16 times higher than Stellar. Did I just say that? Did I just say Ripple is 16 times higher valuation than Stellar? Yet they're similar things, but one's working with IBM, the other isn't. And let me talk about another point too, that Stellar gives them a leg up. Stellar has a better consensus algorithm. It was rewritten because Jed saw problems with the original one that he made that Ripple's using. And I don't know, maybe Ripple's changed theirs, whatever. But he went with this Dave Mazzari's, professor of computer science at Stanford University. It's a decent school, I hear. I'm being sarcastic. That's sort of like one of the best, that and MIT University would be the only other, university you would want a math proof. And so they have a math proof. And I'll tell you, one reason I like the the consensus algorithm is I can actually understand it. When you're a validator, you want to pick 10 other organizations, not that you trust outright, but that you trust will not collude. So it's like, okay, so I just want to pick someone in China, someone in Brazil, someone in Alaska, because I don't think they're going to collude. And as long as everyone picks 10 that they don't think will collude, it's fine, because it's all about collusion. And they have a math proof on this. It sounds brilliant to me. They can already do 1,000 transactions a second. I mean, so I'm trying to compare Ripple to Stellar. Let's assume they're similar. They both are trying to build these payment networks. but Stellar looks even a little bit better when you're comparing apples to apples. But when it comes to valuation, like I said, Ripple at 8 billion, Stellar at 400 million, and never mind Ripple. How many, blockchain cryptocurrency projects do you see out there worth over $1 billion? And do they have the prospects that we see with Stellar? And the other thing I want to say, just so you understand the value. So Stellar Network is the network that will have all these payment transactions. Lumens XLM is the native currency to the payment network, and it's used to bridge the gap. If somebody with weird currency in country in Africa wants to trade with, wants to send money to someone with some other currency in Eastern Europe, well, they're not going to. The person in Eastern Europe doesn't want that African country currency, so they use Lumens to bridge the gap. So both of those parties have Lumens, and they end up. So you end up paying the Eastern Europe country in Lumens instead of the African country, and then because Lumens is used in so many trades, it has value, and they can sort of convert that to their own currency. I don't know if I explained that well, but the Lumens has value. So again, with the business model, Stellar Network decided to become a foundation and just get volume on the exchange. That helps the currency, and that's what you're buying when you're buying XLM, is you're assuming that volume on the network is going to increase. And so that's the question. So now, that's always been the question, is what is the volume on the Stellar Network going to be? I've always thought, well, it's going to grow. And now that we have IBM, we know it's going to grow more, but how much? How long is it going to take IBM? How long is it going to take IBM to build out these systems and start sending traffic on the Stellar Network? Sorry, I got this screen. I don't know what screen to leave it on while I'm talking here. I'm bouncing around. But the point is, this is awesome, but what's the time frame? If anyone has information, I already mentioned about our banks, already on IBM computers, and the other is, well, whether they are or they aren't, how long will it take before we start seeing volume now through IBM on the Stellar Network? Months or years? That's very important, because at the end of the day, the value of really any cryptocurrency is the size and transactional volume of the token on the network, and maybe also the value that creates. But in general, we want to see, and I don't know how to follow. How do I see the volume? And I'm not talking about this. This shows the volume of XML trading as a currency on other exchanges. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the number of trades in any currency on the Stellar Network. Is there a way to see that in graphs? If you have any information, let me know. And then the question is, when will IBM's work start making that graph go up more? That's what's going to drive the value here. And who knows, maybe something else is maybe Jed McCaleb has another deal up his sleeve. I don't know. In any case, I think the news looks good. I think the price compared to any other crypto looks low. But we still have more to learn, and as we learn more, maybe we could buy more. Now, the other tricky thing with Lumens is, how do you buy it? I pulled this up here. If I, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it looks like this is coinmarketcap.com that 50% of all trading of the XLM is on Poloniex. And personally, I don't like Poloniex, but whatever. That's, now 29% is on Bittrex, who I don't know. I like to go where there's more volume. I feel like you'll get better pricing when there's more volume. Is that true, though? I don't know. I don't know where the best place to buy it is. If anyone has any info on that, please let me know. And then once you buy it, you should never leave anything on an exchange. On Stellar, they have an account viewer. I wonder if I have that. This page here, they have this account viewer. And here you could generate your own account, I believe, by going right here. I'll put this link, and you can just leave your coins on the Stellar Network. Just like when you leave your Ethereum right on the blockchain, you can just leave them on there, so they're not an exchange and you can't lose them. So that's how you want to store them. Where you want to buy them, I'm not so sure. And the other thing too, I want to mention, like I said, I mentioned it a few months ago. Well, July, where are we? August, September, October. So I mentioned it 3 months ago. It's already up, I don't know, more than 50%. So we did get the short-term bounce here, but I think you got to look at this. The reason I love it is the long-term story. I wouldn't get into trading it, especially where it's so hard to even buy it anywhere, and then you're storing it on the network. This is just buy an amount that you're not going to want to sell and trade in Lambos. Okay, just leave it on the network. We're going for the 10-year story here. Unless you see things start going sideways, I mean, I would hold for the long term, because you miss, when it jumped 100% on Monday. What if you weren't holding it on that day and you were trading? How would you know? I mean, listen, you miss those things. That's why we buy and hold. So I think that's all I got. Thank you very much. And, to the moon, baby. How do I stop this?